Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is February 15th. I hope everyone had a lovely Valentine's Day. It's Tuesday, it's 11 a.m., and I was not expecting to record a podcast. Unfortunately, me and Joey did not record an AEW Dynamite review last week because we were actually in attendance at Atlantic City's show last week. We got to see Keith Lee debut, we got to see Jay White debut, CM Punk and Moxley teaming up. It was a really cool show. I will always preach going to these AEW shows live. They're always something special. We've been to Arthur Ashe for Grand Slam last year. We've been to both their Philly shows. We went to Newark to see Danielson and Page, the second match between those two, and then we just went to Atlantic City this past week. Angelo was also there. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I was going to get breakfast, and I got the text from our group chat. And so now we're here for a Deep Six Wrestling news update, which is something we don't often do. Normally we save it for releases or anything major, and this is something major. So we're going to talk about Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes today, and their exit from AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Cody is no more there. No longer there, I should say. So we're going to talk about that for a bit. But if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the podcast. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We post over there. We've been posting some more stuff over there from Atlantic City show that we had recorded. You can subscribe to the podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Overcast, Spotify, Anchor, whatever. Any place that you can find podcasts at. Also, follow us over on Twitter, at Deep Six Wrestling. You can also follow me personally on Twitter, at I actually, you know what? It's crazy. I don't know what my ad is on Twitter. At MVP at MV Profound Film. I'm Pat, and I've actually started writing for the Sportster. So if you want to follow me over there, I'm going to be posting more wrestling stuff. But yeah, so we're just going to get into this because I want to get this out quickly because yeah, it would make sense. So we're going to go to, we'll do AEW's statement first. So at 10 a.m., AEW tweeted out a statement from Tony Khan. Cody and Brandi Rhodes were integral to the launch of All Elite Wrestling. Cody's ability, combined with his boldness and his passion for our industry and his love for community outreach, helped AEW deliver on our mission to give fans what they needed for far too long. Something new, innovative, and lasting. Brandi helped us shape the AEW story, and I appreciate how hard she fought for us both in-ring and out-of-ring, competing in the women's division while advancing our efforts at inclusion and civic causes, including great partnerships with Culture City and the American Heart Association. I have immense respect and appreciation for Cody and Brandi, and I wish them both the best as they move on from AEW. Thank you, Cody and Brandi. And it's from Tony Khan, the CEO, President, General Manager, and Head of Creative of All Elite Wrestling. We then got a statement from Cody. Or actually, Cody's came first. I didn't even see this. But here's Cody's. This is much more lengthy. I have loved my time at AEW. Amazing locker room, amazing fans, amazing people. The revolution was indeed televised, and I've been incredibly lucky to be a part of that. First, I want to thank Tony Khan. He's taken the baton and run with it, and it was an honor to work for him and to know him on a personal level. He's a beautiful soul. Obviously need to thank my incredible wife and the mother of my baby girl, Brandi, for all of her love and support throughout this journey together, and the amazing relationships she fostered with Culture City and the American Heart Association. I also need to thank Nick and Matt Jackson. These two, whether they know it or not, took an undesired and not confident Lil Cub and gifted me the confidence to become a leader of the pack. Kenneth Omega, Chris Jericho, Chicken, we started the fire. I must thank Tim W., Keith M., Greg W., and the amazing production crew who understood and captured the vision with such grace. I can't name everybody, but thank you to Mega, Margaret, Harrington, Jeff Jones, Dana, Tony Schiavone, Byrne, Raph, and the hardest worker in the game, QT Marshall, for propping me up and kicking me in the ass when I was running on fumes. I must thank all of my kiddos, MJF, Jade, Sammy, Darby, Lee, Ricky, Tom, The Guns, Brock, Velvet, Nyla, Aubrey, Turner, Vanilla, Solo, Spears, Julia, Anna, Will, Wardlow, Sunny, Fuego 1, and of course Negative 1. While we're at it, give Jade the Cody Vader. Also need to take a moment to thank the great partners at Warner Media, including Brett, Sam, and the rest of the team. I have so many milestones and beautiful memories of this renaissance. Through sweat, blood, and tears, literal fire, and all that, I left it all on the mat. Everything pales in comparison to the final contribution I was empowered to lead at the company, the community outreach team. In the most inward moments, your outward behavior and your ability to take fame, influence, and do something of value for the communities you visit, whether the cameras are on or off, is the highest honor. I am confident Amanda Huber will lead the department with style. I'm so proud of my creations and contributions and the items that I supported or collaborated with such wonderful professionals. Thank you, fans. Y'all did the work. Let's live forever. So that is Cody Rhodes' lengthy statement in regards to this. We have gotten reports since that Cody and Brandi are in talks with WWE on a possible return. So, here we are. It's the beginning of 2022. It's February. We are just a few weeks away from AEW Revolution. And we now have our first real big exit from the company. Obviously, we've had names leave or, had their contracts expire, like a Leo Rush, whose contract actually ironically expired today. But yeah, it's definitely a weird situation. As for the past 3 years, there's been all this talk from people of like who's going to be the first person from AEW to jump ship to WWE, and I don't think many people had Cody Rhodes on their bingo card for that. I still remember when Cody went to the independent scene after leaving WWE, and a lot of people speculated that it was going to be a short-term thing where Cody was going to go to the indie scene and kind of rebrand himself and come back, and then he never came back. So here we are. Cody left, I want to say in like 2016, 2017? Let's see. Cody Rhodes. I should have looked this up before I came on here. Cody left the WWE in 2016. So it's been a while, which is kind of crazy. But he's now gone. Obviously, WWE's in WrestleMania season, so should Cody go there, one would expect that he'll have a prominent place on WrestleMania, unless they save him for coming back after Mania. There's also the chance that he doesn't go to WWE. He could always just, we had the tease last summer that Cody was going to retire. He could take an extended break. He could retire. He could do any number of things. It's kind of just a wait and see thing. But the reports are out there that he's been talking to WWE. We had this statement from him and Tony that does seem to indicate that this is real and not a work, and that he is most likely leaving the company, or has already left the company, I should say. Yeah, it's just pretty crazy. It's not like it's not a person leaving that I'm like really sad about. Like, it feels weird that Cody's not going to be in AEW anymore, but the company has grown enough to the point that Cody doesn't feel as special as he once did. Like, every time he was on TV, it was still an event. Like, I still remember when he came back and cut the promo before the ladder match with Sammy, and I thought the promo was, again, top-notch stuff, but he wasn't like a regular character on TV where it was like every week we're going to get Cody. No, it had become Cody was going to be on sporadically. I guess to that extent it made him feel special, but he was like, he had his program with Malachi last year, and then that was done, and then he kind of just moved on to winning the TNT title from Sammy, and then he dropped it right back to Sammy. So after the Malachi feud, it kind of just felt like Cody was just there. He's been doing other stuff. Obviously, he's got Rhodes to the Top. He's got the Go Big Show. So yeah, I will say it does feel extremely strange that Cody, of all people, the person who has been preaching about the revolution and wanting to create something other than WWE, that he's the one to go back to WWE, basically. If that's the case, again, we still don't know, but if he does, it's just going to feel very weird that this guy who's since 2016 has been talking about how he felt misused and how he felt creatively held back. And then he goes to the indie scene, does everything there, goes to New Japan, becomes friends with the Bucks and Kenny, and then they eventually start AEW, and he gets the creative freedom, becomes this completely different version of himself from what WWE fans know him as. And then 3 years later, he's just like, I'm good. I'm just going to go back. Who knows? Really, who knows? Time could tell. This could end up being a story. I don't think it is. I feel like that'd be very weird to do to this level where you're putting out statements from Tony and Cody himself. But yeah, I guess you never know. We also have a tweet from Dustin. I had it up. Let me try and get back to it. Dustin tweeted out 55 minutes ago, "No, I am not leaving. I like it here in AEW." And followed up saying, "I love my brother Cody Rhodes. I love my sister-in-law Brandi. Whatever they decide to do in life, I support it 110%. I'm sad they're gone, but the fucking train keeps moving. #LFG." And he's now been retweeting stuff on Twitter, including somebody photoshopping Goldust onto Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street, saying, "I'm not leaving." Good. I'll drop a like on that one. But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot to, I guess, look back on for Cody's career in AEW. Again, he was such like a staple of TV back in like 2019 when the company first started. Even before that, when they really began here. With Double or Nothing, we had the wonderful match against Dustin Rhodes that I think is going to live forever for a lot of people. That was AEW's first show. At Fyter Fest, we had the time limit draw against Darby Allin that really put Darby over big. Then we followed that up with the infamous chair shot from Shawn Spears, the unprotected chair shot. And then we got the match at All Out with Cody and Shawn. And then we went into the fall where Cody had his big feud with Chris Jericho. That was really good stuff from what I remember. And eventually Cody would challenge Jericho at Full Gear for the world title. And the stipulation that came in place there was that if Cody lost, he would never be able to challenge for the world championship again, and he never did. And that's also where we got MJF's heel turn, because as strange as it was, he was Cody's like best friend when the company started, and like he was like a heel still, but this is where he actually like turned on Cody. And then we got the big Cody and MJF feud. We got the Wardlow steel cage match. We got the match between Cody and MJF at Revolution. We had obviously the pandemic started, and we went into the no crowd era. But Cody became TNT champion, defeating Lance Archer. We had his feud with Brody Lee. We had him and Darby Allin again. We had the mixed tag match with with Red Velvet and Cody versus Shaq and Jade. We had the Face of the Revolution ladder match that Cody had. And then, yeah, we had his feud. Again, you look at that. You look at like 2020 and then I guess early 2021 with the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And then following that, we got Cody going into a feud with QT Marshall and the Factory, which then eventually led to Cody versus Anthony Ogogo. And then we got the program with Malachi Black, and then that was the end of that. And then he moved on to the TNT Championship, and then lost it, and that was it. So yeah, an interesting run. It like reading it off here, it really does feel much more like top heavy towards like the beginning of his time compared to like now. Like he's done a lot of stuff, and like again, like the last thing he did was the ladder match with Sammy, and everybody has agreed that match was phenomenal. The Malachi Black stuff, everybody was a fan of Malachi beating Cody the first 2 times. Cody then won the third, which left people kind of being like, meh. But like at the same time, Cody made Malachi look really good. We had the street fight with Andrade, which led to the flaming table spot. That was crazy. But then, like, again, before that, you had, like, the stuff with QT Marshall's group, and, like, it was pretty much everybody was negative on that. And then you had, like, the Shaq stuff, which, from what I remember, everybody pretty much thought was good, but, yeah, I don't know. It's just really weird to see that Cody's gone. Yeah. Let's look at what we got going on over on Twitter real quick before anything else here. Let's take a look at boop boop boop. So we have Sean Ross Sapp. Did he? Yeah. So Ariel Helwani is the one who gave credit to Sapp for reporting that his company. Or not his company, that Cody's contract was up. Sean Ross Sapp has also quote tweeted a tweet that he put out on January 17th saying that there have been probably 6 or 7 foregone conclusion contracts of they're leaving or they're staying or they're lifers that have went the opposite way over the past year. And I guess part of that's in resolve to Cody. And on that same day, Sapp also had tweeted that Cody Rhodes is a free agent working without an AEW contract. He's the current TNT champion. And then I guess we shall go over to Ariel Helwani, because I think he's the one who reported that they're in talks with WWE. Yeah, here we go. Huge developing news in the world of pro wrestling. Cody Rhodes is leaving AEW, sources say, and I'm told Rhodes and WWE are in fact talking about him returning to the organization in the near future. It's extremely significant considering Rhodes and his wife were part of the small group that helped launch AEW alongside Tony in 2019. Credit to Sapp for reporting that his deal was up a few weeks ago. He went on to then quote tweet the Tony's tweet, I guess, about Cody, saying AEW confirms Cody and Brandi Rhodes are leaving the company. Massive news in the world of wrestling considering they're part of the DNA of that company. And a potentially massive coup for WWE heading into Mania. Then went on to say, gosh, wrestling is so great right now. This would have been unimaginable a year ago. I guess the forbidden door opens both ways after all. I'm not going to get, triggered over it, but I don't, I really hate that the forbidden door has gone on to become this thing that people use for things that aren't like a forbidden. Like the forbidden door is supposed to be when 2 companies are working together. Somebody leaving a company isn't supposed to be it. And Tony Khan is the one who opened this up with his tweet last week, but still. And then we have his last tweet saying, make Cody into the invader from the south, have him attack Roman at the Chamber, and do Cody x Roman in the main event of Mania. That's what I'd do. They definitely get the most news. But see, this is what it brings me back to. WWE never saw Cody as a main event player. And it just feels so strange. What would they acknowledge for him? What would they allow him to say in promos about why he's here, why he's back, what he's been doing for the past few years? I really don't know what they would do. Would they see the formula that Cody's been working with in AEW, letting him do his own weird style Codyverse promos where he just references everything? Or would he become this super scripted Cody Rhodes character? Would they have him shit on AEW and Tony Khan? Would they have him not acknowledge that AEW existed and that's where he's been for the last 3 years? I don't know. I really don't. It's a very weird and interesting developing situation. For what it's worth, SmackDown is taped this Friday, so Cody will not be on SmackDown. And then I guess I think the Elimination Chamber is this weekend, I think, in Saudi Arabia. I can't imagine that Cody would debut in Saudi Arabia. That would be hysterical. I'm not gonna lie. If Cody, this patriot character who Jeez, that would be something. No, I could see him, I guess, debuting. Like, if this is serious and they are like in talks and he's coming back to WWE, I would assume that they want to probably have him as soon as possible. So it depends on what brand he's going to, but I'd assume SmackDown or Raw next week. You could see him show up, and then get to building something for him for Mania. I'm trying to think, like, who would you pair him up with for WrestleMania? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But I guess we'll see. I can't really think of anything else to add. I hope the best for Cody and Brandi if they go back to WWE. Cody spent the last 3 years trying to really show that he was held down and not given the opportunity that he felt he deserved in WWE. So him going back, it's one of those things where it's like, I would hope that if he is going back that he has some like guarantee that he's going to get the treatment that he thinks he deserves. But yeah, I guess we'll see. The last thing I wanted to say, I guess on this podcast, was worth noting that apparently Stone Cold Steve Austin might be coming back to the ring. We stopped covering Raw a few weeks ago, finally, but apparently Kevin Owens randomly started just trashing Texas, and so the speculation is that we could be heading to a Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin match at WrestleMania this year. Very interesting direction. I don't know if I need to see Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestle in 2022. I don't know how good that would be, and I hope it doesn't go the way of like tarnishing a legacy like The Undertaker did in his final years. I would probably much rather prefer Stone Cold just do his normal come out and do a Stone Cold Cutter. Or not Stone Cold Cutter, Jesus, Stone Cold Stunner. And I also, like, if Stone Cold wrestles Owens, like, I don't see Kevin Owens winning that match. And, like, what does that do? Like, KO gets to share the ring with Stone Cold, but, like, I hate this theory that, like, just by wrestling a legend, like, you're getting the rub. Like, no. Like, you shouldn't be feeding one of, like, your top guys to Stone Cold in just a nothing WrestleMania match. But, yeah. So, yeah, Cody Rhodes and Brandi are gone from AEW, and Stone Cold Steve Austin might be coming back to wrestle in 2022. What a time to be alive. I like, maybe, like, I feel like Seth isn't doing anything of importance right now. Maybe Seth versus Cody at Mania? But again, like, who would you have win that? Does Cody lose his first match back, or do you, like, kill Rollins there? I don't know. You could, again, like Ariel said, Roman versus Cody, but I feel like they're doing Cody or Brock versus Roman. I'm going to be honest, but there's 2 nights of Mania, so who knows? Yeah, I really don't know. I can't think of any other like dream matches or anything for Cody in WWE. I'm going to be honest. There's not many people over there that I'm like, man, really need to see Cody wrestle. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't really have much to add aside from that. AEW's back tomorrow on Wednesday with a pretty big card, so we will be reviewing that. But just to go over what's on AEW Dynamite tomorrow, we have Wardlow versus Max Caster in a qualifying match for Face of the Revolution ladder match at Revolution. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Santana and Ortiz. Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty, which sounds phenomenal. Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa in a no disqualification match. That also sounds very exciting. And TNT champion Sammy Guevara puts his title on the line against Darby Allin. So yeah, a pretty big show. And then Jay White debuts on Rampage against Trent Beretta. And there's also another Dante Martin and Powerhouse Hobbs is another qualifying match on Rampage. So pretty big week for AEW in terms of matches and what they're bringing. So take the Cody news, move along, and we'll get right into Dynamite this week. And we also got the announcement that Battle of the Belts 2 is happening on Friday, April 15th in Garland, Texas. So if you're a Texas person, there you go. And it's nice to see the poster they put out for it. Keith Lee is like front and center. Pretty cool stuff. So it seems like Keith Lee is going to be getting quite a big time push in AEW, which I'm all for. All right, that's 25 minutes of the podcast. I don't really have much to say. It's a shame I didn't get like Joey or Ryan on here or Angelo to kind of bounce off of, because I really don't like doing solo podcasts. It's so just like awkward. But yeah. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, with Joey for AEW Dynamite this week. And we'll probably talk more about Cody there. We'll talk about everything that happened on the show. And yeah, maybe if Joey's on, I'll ask him what he thought about the Atlantic City show last week. We were both really positive on it. And I know me, him, and Angelo all agree that we want AEW to come back to Atlantic City ASAP, because that venue was great and the crowd was great the whole night. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening at, and talk to you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of your week, or if you're listening to this on Tuesday, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. But adios for now.